you're looking to dive into topics on how to live a happier, healthier, more fit, and long lifespan, then you've come to the right podcast. Living the Dream with me, Coach Damian Evans. Together, we will explore the topics on all things health, fitness, and wellness. Together, we will be lifelong learners on this journey to living the ultimate dream. What up, Dream Team? Coach D here coming at you from beautiful sunny San Diego, and I'm here with our beautiful co-host, Jamie Martinez.
What's up, guys?
And we are back answering some more questions from you, the Living the Dream Team listeners. But before we get to the questions, let's go over some current events and some wins and struggles for the week. So what do we got going on right now? It's the 4th of July week, and coming up, we're going to be visiting our best friend Savannah up in Washington for her birthday. Pretty excited for that trip.
Yeah, super pumped. It's going to be emo-themed Wednesday Addams. If you guys have not checked out that show, it's on Netflix. We cannot wait for the next season. It is so good. It just touched our souls. So her whole 30th birthday is going to be all decked out in that theme. We just got our black swimsuits to be ready to rock. Damien just ordered a special little prop, would you call it, to go along with the theme.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing the old thing hand on the shoulder and all that fun stuff, so I'm excited for that. Just kind of relaxing. Sav's amazing. She does a health project with her best friend Miranda. They're part of the Harmonious Health Project. If you want to check them out on Instagram, they have a lot of great content for your health and fitness goals, so shout out to them. And then it's Taylor Swift month. You excited?
I cannot wait. I've been waiting 6 months for this, 7 months for this. Yes, so finally at the end of the month, we get to go up to San Jose. That's where my family is, so we'll stay with my sister and me, my sister Jen. What's up, Jen? And Damien, you get to go as well. So I just ordered us our matching shirts. We are going to be going with the Reputation album. I cannot wait. She's my sister. She's my bestie. She just doesn't know it.
Super excited. Although I think she peaked after Love Story, so it is it is what it is. No, that'll be fun. Let's go over our wins and struggles for the week. You want to go first?
Sure. So I'd say my win is getting my butt out to the beach a little bit more. I mean, we live super close, but it just hasn't really been a huge part of my routine. So it's been nice to actually get out there multiple times each week, just get those extra steps, reconnect to the earth. It just really zens me out, calms me down. So that's been really nice. I'd say my struggle is, right, we have a ton of big changes happening soon, and there's one huge piece that we have to dial in before we can kind of progress in other areas. So the goal is to have that all dialed in next week. That way we can continue on, but I think that one big thing is just kind of stuck in my head, so I can't wait to dial that in and just be able to continue to make more fun changes.
Yeah, and getting to the beach was pretty hard for me at first when I started this, because it took just the whole process was you had to get everything ready, you had to drive to the beach, you had to find parking, you had to get to the right spot, and all this stuff for the first couple of months just took a lot longer than it does now. Now I have it so streamlined that it only takes me about an hour out of my day to get all of it done. So I know when you first get going on a habit like that, it just takes a while to get your flow, and then you can kind of expedite the process. You can kind of make everything more efficient, and you can put it into your day into a smaller time block, which is really nice. So I'm sure that's going to happen for you once you get a little more consistent with it. For me, my win. So most people that know me really well know that I'm not really great when it comes to the calendar and how seeing dates and things that are planned in the future. I'm really good at planning out the next day. I pretty much live in the moment. My whole entire life, I'm just present, and then I plan for maybe the next day so that I have that vision. But when it comes to what's happening in a few days, or especially what's happening in a couple months, I'm just pretty terrible at it. My mind just doesn't work that way, and it's something that I want to work on because I know it annoys the heck out of Jamie. So what I did was I put a huge calendar down in my garage gym, and it's a nice big dry erase calendar. So I study that. We have all of our important events on it. Jamie helped put all the good stuff that we got coming up. And while I do the rebounding to warm up for my workouts, I study the calendar. So hopefully that can be a little bit of a way to work on one of my growth opportunities. So that's a big win that we got that set up, and then I've started working on that. Struggle is, for those of you that have been listening a little bit, you might have heard about the Accountability Club. The Accountability Club, we've been going for 6 months straight, setting goals, progressing on goals, learning together, and just sharing amazing, cool nutrition, fitness, lifestyle type things that can help us grow and be better people all over, just to live our best dream lives. And we're actually creating the Accountability Club as a membership option at our gym now. So what we're doing is we're transitioning all of the stuff over from WhatsApp into Slack, and we're just kind of getting the people that want to continue on with it to be all organized. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's brand new and it's going to take a lot of extra work. So I've just been dialed in on that. It's been taking a lot of my free time just to get all that organized and to get everybody transferred over. You know how hard it is to get people to learn new apps and software and all that kind of stuff. So that's been a little bit of a struggle, but it's not too bad. It's been fairly smooth, just a lot of tedious work. And I'm excited for that to get rolling. We'll talk a little bit more about the Accountability Club later in this episode. Sweet. So that's a little bit of our wins and struggles, our current events. Let's move on to the questions of the day. We got a question for lifestyle, we got a question for exercise and movement, and we got a question for nutrition. Question number 1.
Question number 1. How can I improve my energy levels throughout the day?
Great question. Yeah, and for those people that do struggle with energy swings throughout the day, we all know how frustrating that can be. Improving your energy levels throughout the day is such a common thing. It's a common concern that a lot of us have, especially with our busy lifestyles nowadays. So let's go over a few tips that can help us boost our energy levels naturally. And if we want better energy levels throughout the day, of course, it's going to start with better quality sleep the night before. So ensure that you're getting enough sleep. You're trying to aim for at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And remember that just because you go to bed doesn't mean that you're sleeping from that time. This is where wearing an activity sleep tracker is so important. It can give you some average over time that you can look at and try to improve those numbers. Establish a consistent sleep schedule. So making sure that you're going to bed as close to the same time every night that you can, and waking up at the same time each morning, really important. Just creating that relaxing bedtime routine that sends the signal to your brain that it's time to go to bed. Our bedtime routine is about 90 minutes long. We make sure that the lights go down as soon as we can, making sure that we use the red Himalayan salt lamp. We put candles on. Jamie likes to wear her blue light blocking glasses. All that kind of stuff goes really important into telling the circadian clocks in our cells that it's time to wind down and it's time for us to go to sleep. Making sure that we don't watch anything too stimulating on TV. We'll watch a nice funny thing that makes us laugh, and then we'll go right into either an educational video or something like a yin yoga flow, making sure that we then start to downregulate our nervous system to give us that opportunity to slowly wind down to sleep. So it's not just like we're watching a TV show, lights are on bright, then automatically we just turn it on and just go straight to bed and think that our body is going to fall asleep. Like, that's just not going to happen. So making sure that you get great quality sleep, and as soon as you wake up in the morning, getting sunlight in and on your eyes if you can. So maybe you go outside and brush your teeth and you get a little bit of sunlight for a minute or two. I like to drink coffee on the balcony, which is an opportunity for me to really just slowly start the day. That's if I don't coach in the morning. So getting that sunlight in your eyes, Professor Andrew Huberman says is one of the most beneficial things you can do for your overall health and longevity. That's pretty powerful. That's like the biggest thing that he's driving home. Number 2, I would say stay hydrated. Dehydration can cause lots of fatigue. So make sure that you're drinking enough water throughout the day. Keep a water bottle with you at all times. If you don't have it, you're not going to drink it. So keep a water bottle with you. This is where having a water bottle that you enjoy is super important. So maybe decorating it, maybe having it where it's one of those special water bottles that tell you if you're on pace to drink the amount of water that you're trying to drink. Maybe it lights up. They have water bottles now that light up, that tell you when you haven't drank in a while, which is pretty fancy. But just making sure getting your inner bath in the morning is a huge hack. And this is one of the things that our clients have had the biggest feedback of what they've loved the most. So putting a glass of water on your bedstand right before you go to bed, and then as soon as you wake up, drinking 12 to 16 ounces of water, getting that first initial inside cleanse. Amazing way to start your day, amazing way to get a jump start on your hydration, making sure that you drink at least your body weight divided by 2 in ounces by the end of the day. And front loading it can help you so you don't have to chug it all at night and then wake up a couple times during the night to go to the bathroom. Next, you're going to want to make sure that you're eating balanced, nutritious meals. So eat regular, balanced meals that include a combination of both all complex carbohydrates, lean proteins, and healthy fats. These nutrients are going to provide a steady release of energy and help prevent energy crashes. So if you're someone that eats just a high carbohydrate breakfast, like you eat cereal and orange juice and a banana, this is going to be a lot of simple carbohydrates that get digested really fast. It's going to spike your blood sugar. That's going to put you on this energy roller coaster throughout the rest of the day. So we've had success with our clients making sure that they eat a high protein, well-balanced diet so that it's not just a bunch of carbohydrates right off the bat. And then just practice mindful eating. If you're someone that doesn't pay attention to your body's hunger or fullness cues, then you can overeat, and overeating is going to make you lethargic. It's going to make you sluggish. These are things that are going to make you lack energy, and it's not going to be helpful towards your goal of having more energy throughout the day. So making sure that those meals are balanced and making sure that your first meal is protein heavy, something like a scramble, turkey, bacon, and avocado type meal. And then just limiting that sugar, limiting processed foods that have high sugar in them. Those things are going to be not helpful towards your energy. It's going to give you those energy spikes and crashes. So if you're going to eat something that is high in sugar, that has high processed foods, then making sure that you move right afterwards so that you can utilize some of that sugar in the bloodstream. Regular physical activity breaks are going to be huge on this. I tell a lot of people, if you sit for your job, if you're behind a computer, you then have the muscles of your legs that are not contracting, and all the blood that circulates through the system, your heart pumps your blood out to your extremities, out to your fingers and your toes. And when you're not contracting your muscles of your leg, you're not helping the blood go from the very furthest extremity back up through the veins to the heart, so that then the blood can be pumped to the lungs, reoxygenated, and sent to the cells of the body, especially the brain. So what that means is when the legs are not moving, when the legs are not contracting, that means that that blood is essentially stagnantly, very slowly pooling up in your lower limbs. That's going to give you a feeling of low energy. It's going to make you feel like you have brain fog. So that's why a lot of people, they start to feel that 2 p.m., 3 p.m. just lull because they just have not moved their bodies. So what I like to do is if I'm doing deep work behind a computer or behind a screen, I'll put on Brain FM Focus. So Brain FM is a huge hack right here. It's an app that I use that has science-backed music that puts you into a certain brainwave state. You can put yourself into focus. You can put yourself into meditation, even things like relaxing, and I use it for sleep as well. But if you use the focus track and you go into deep work, then you can go ahead and work really hard for a certain amount of time. I time it for 1 hour, and then as the hour is over and as the song is done, I get up and I do a movement break. My favorite movement break is I do 2 minutes on a rebounder, so a little mini trampoline. I do 2 quick minutes, and then I hang from my pull-up bar. I do maybe a minute or 2 minutes of dead hanging, maybe some pull-ups in there if I'm feeling a little aggressive. And then I'll do a headstand on this yoga thing that I have so that I can get some blood flow from my toes all the way back up to my lungs and my organs. So it's almost like hanging upside down, but it's a cool little bench that I can put my shoulders on. And almost anyone can do it, especially if you put it up against the wall and your feet can go up against the wall. So I try to get inverted. You can do that a couple different ways. You can actually do a handstand on the wall. You can even just hang your head off of the back of a chair or something so that you're now inverted head underneath the heart. That can help. But anyway, the whole point of that is that I like to use movement breaks. That takes maybe 5 minutes out of my day, out of my hour, and then I just go right back into that deep work. If you're someone that does struggle with deep work and you feel like you task switch back and forth really fast between things, I have a really great book recommendation by Cal Newport called Deep Work that could really, really help you. So the more you can get into deep work and then get out of that deep work and move your body, the more energy you're going to have. And it's bonus points if you can get outside in nature. You can open up your view because you've probably been hyper-focused on a screen and your eyesight constricted. Getting outside, getting into a panoramic view and really getting your eyes to dilate can help give yourself that energy switch, that energy shift, and then you can get right back to work. It doesn't have to be something for very long. Your productivity is going to increase, your mood and your energy is going to increase. That means the people around you are going to like you better, and that means that you're going to be happier. So give that a shot. If you're going into that deep work, just make sure that you're giving yourself those breaks. A lot of people think that they're going to lose their flow. And maybe if you are in like a really, really deep flow, you go for another hour cycle or whatever your cycle is. But just know that the longer you stay sedentary, the more you're going to have this effect of feeling fatigued. Also, sunlight. Sunlight is going to be a great thing, and fresh air. So fresh air, getting outside, sunlight, even if you're not moving, even if you take your laptop or whatever out into the sunlight, that can be a great thing too to help with your energy. Another factor that you want to be aware of is your caffeine intake. If you're like 90+% of the population, you consume caffeine. But when are you consuming it, and how much are you consuming it, and how long have you been consuming it like that? If you're someone that consumes over 200 milligrams of caffeine a day, you want to make sure that that caffeine is not coming any time after about noon. Some experts say that 10 a.m. is the earliest or is the latest that you should drink caffeine. There are a couple people that I know that drink caffeine 2, 3, 4 p.m., but they stay up a little later. And sometimes they do complain about their sleep. So if you're going to get your caffeine, make sure that it's a little bit earlier in the day. Make sure that you give yourself a caffeine time limit, especially if you're someone that struggles with sleep, and especially if you're someone that's having this energy situation where you're lacking energy and you're feeling fatigued. The best way to do this is to wean yourself off of caffeine. So take your normal caffeine amount that you consume and then cut it down by like 25%. Once you cut it down 25%, stay at that level for maybe a week or maybe 5 days, and then cut it down another 25%. So now you're at half of what you normally take, then cut it down another 25%, and you can stay there, or you could go all the way down to maybe a few days or a week of no caffeine at all, which might suck, but if you did it the right way and you weaned yourself off, that means that the next time you come back on your caffeine, you can slowly start to increase it up, and that caffeine is going to have a much bigger effect on your energy levels. I myself, I do a caffeine supplement, which is a little pill from Allmax, Allmax. It's a little blue container. It's like $8 for 100 tablets, and each tablet has 200 milligrams of caffeine. So I have some clients that pay for their personal training simply by cutting out the Starbucks and the sodas and instead putting in this caffeine supplement. I take a pill and I break it in half, and I take that right before my workouts. Sometimes I'll take it right before I coach, but it's clean energy. I highly suggest it. Really, really great stuff. But that can help you wean yourself down by making sure that you have the right amount of caffeine. Because sometimes when you buy those Starbucks drinks or those big energy drinks, sometimes you're not really sure about just how much caffeine is in it and how it's affecting you. So that might be a way to standardize it. But caffeine could be a huge, huge issue for you. So recapping: your sleep, your hydration, your nutrition, specifically your sugar intake, your time in nature, your caffeine, and then just not being in a sedentary position for too long. Getting oxygen to your brain through movement, making sure that your eyesight isn't just constricted on one spot for too long of time periods, and then making sure that you invest in things that help you get focused. Things like Brain FM, things like reading the book Deep Work, and things like enjoying where you're working as far as your workspace. So getting outside with your workspace if you can, maybe getting on the floor and doing mobility stretches while you're working on your computer. Those are all ways for you to keep your body moving and keep yourself with those energy levels more stable and not so high, spiking and crashing. Cool. Let's move on to question number 2.
Boom. Question number 2. I heard muscle confusion helps with the best results. Is it better to constantly mix up the exercises I'm doing, or to keep them the same for a while and then change them?
Yes, muscle confusion. Yeah, I have a few things and a few thoughts on this. When you start exercising, you should be able to do 7 fundamental movements as a human. So you should be able to squat, lunge, hip hinge, which is like a deadlift. You should be able to push and pull, and you should be able to rotate your body. And then the last one would be you should be able to walk and run correctly, which is called your gait. So all these things are 7 fundamental things that all humans should be able to do. But as we get a little bit out of our younger years, and as we stop running and playing and swinging and rolling around and tumbling, we start to lose the ability to do a lot of these movements. So we start to become more what we call sagittal, meaning that you're moving forward and back on almost everything that you do. You're more in that plane of just going forward and back. You lose the ability to run fast. You lose the ability to jump high. You lose the ability to squat normally because we don't get into a deep squat very often here in the Western culture. Whereas if you look over in the Eastern culture, you'll see people that can get into a deep squat in their 60s, 70s, 80s just fine and just hang out there relaxed. If you saw that over here in the United States, you'd probably think that that person was really weird. In fact, I do it all the time and people call me weird. So these things are all skills that you want to learn. And when you constantly change things up, yes, it might be like a squat jump here. It might be like a sumo squat there. It might be a goblet squat, this kind of thing. Those are all great ways to mix up the squat, but essentially you should be learning how to do a basic squat first before you start changing things up. When you're a newbie, your first portion of your fitness journey is all neurological gains. Your brain is figuring out how to tell your muscles to fire in the correct order in order to do this skill. Your brain is trying to figure out where your body is located in space. So this is called proprioception, your awareness of just where your body is in space. So people with good proprioception have good balance. They're usually athletic. They can pick things up pretty fast when it comes to sports or games or physical activities. And all these things, when you're first starting off your journey, you're learning neurologically how to connect to that movement. So if you're someone that is doing a squat here that's completely different there, your brain is not connecting and not creating this neural pathway from which you can then start to progress. So making sure that you are pretty basic when you first start off your journey, that is going to be a really, really important thing. Now, there's a lot to say about being bored with your exercise program, because if you do not enjoy what you're doing, you're not going to stay true to it. So that's where changing things up a little bit can be an important factor, even if all the studies say that doing things the same for a big block of time is the best way to get your results. If you're not exercising just because you're not looking forward to working out, then all the studies and all that science goes out the door, right? Because if you're not consistent, then things are not going to progress. You're not going to get stronger. You're essentially spreading things out all over the place like a shotgun style approach. I always feel like fitness and finances are super similar. So if I'm going to invest in things and quickly take money out of those investments, then I'm not going to get too much return on my investment, right? If I invest in the S&P 500 and I put a couple $100 in there and then immediately I take it out, like that's not going to have accrued any wealth, any value. So making sure that when I invest in something, I make sure that I put it in there and I invest in it for a certain amount of time instead of spreading my money out all over the place and then taking it out and just not being patient with that. In order for us to improve on an exercise, we must do what's called progressive overload. So we can still change things up without changing the actual exercise. So here's what I would say. The 7 fundamental movements should be in your exercise routine as basic as possible, as less power as possible, as less crazy balancing and all that kind of stuff as possible. Once you get it down and you feel good about it, then you can start to progress in a couple different ways. Rather than changing squats to 180 jump squats or burpee jump squats, instead load it up a little bit more with some heavier weight, or slow down the rep and increase your time under tension. These are all ways that you can progress the exercise and change up the exercise without actually changing the movement. And that's not to say that you can't change up some of the accessory work, right? So if you have the 7 fundamental movements that are just basic and standardized and you keep those in your routine, who says you can't change up some push-up variations here, or maybe some triceps and biceps. You can change up how you do those so that it keeps it interesting. So you're not doing the exact same workout over and over, but you're still getting the big compound squats and deadlifts and presses and lunges and hip hinges. You're still getting all of those to stay the same so that you can see your progress over time, and you can increase the weight on those. You can increase the time under tension, and then adding the little flair by changing up the accessory work. That could be a good strategy too. It's always important to remember your goals. So why are you training in the first place? If you're training to be the most badass 80-year-old there is, if you're training for the centenarian decathlon, meaning how many of these events can I do when I'm 100 years old, then really you want to keep those basic exercises in your routine all the time. Like I've been training for the last 20 something plus years, and the bench press, the squat, the deadlift, those have all remained the same in my routine. Now I've changed up reps, higher or lower. I've changed up weights, higher or lower. I've changed up how slow I go on the lifting and the lowering phases. But a lot of the exercises that I do currently today are the same exact exercises that I did when I was 20 and 21 years old. And this is exactly how professional athletes train as well. They train specifically for the activity that they're going to be doing, and they make sure that they keep those explosive power cleans and squat presses and all those things that they translate over into what they're doing. They've been doing those exercises for a long time. So think about, what are your goals? Think about, what skills have you not mastered yet? And if you're pretty new to fitness, trust me, it takes years and years. I'm still finding little tiny tweaks in my squat and little tiny tweaks in my deadlift that I've been doing for decades now. So it's really hard to master a movement, especially as you start to go into the sedentary activities that most of us do when we sit a lot. Sitting a lot, it doesn't matter how, if you work out 1 hour every day for every day of your life, if you sit for the other 8 hours of your day, like that is going to minimize the progress that you're going to be making when it comes to your movements. So just making sure that you're meeting yourself where you're at, you listen to your body, you do your mobility, you make sure that you master a skill before you get all crazy and you try out the crazy workout that you saw on Instagram. So yeah, I would say that muscle confusion is not quite as beneficial as learning a skill, mastering a skill, and progressing that skill over time. I think that you'll see much better results if you keep it more constant. And then in order for you to not get bored at what you're doing, you can spice up the accessory moves, the smaller muscle groups, as well as the types of those 7 foundational movements. You can always do different styles of squats. You can do different styles of lunges. You can do different styles of deadlifts. So those are ways that you can spice it up once you've mastered the skill. Anything to add on that, Jamie, when it comes to muscle confusion and trying to spice up things and change the exercises quickly?
Yeah, I love this question. So this is actually, it's so funny. I used to work at a gym prior to where we're currently at. The color was orange. And that was a selling point that we would talk about every single day. You'll never do the same workout twice. It'll always be different, so you'll never be bored. And looking back, I'm like, I cannot believe that I was selling that to people when that's not what I believe in at all anymore. Like, just what you just said, how important it is to treat those big foundational moves as a skill. And if you do a deadlift one time and then you don't do it again for another month, you're never going to be able to progress. You're not going to be able to actually dial in the form and see progress. Like now, what the training that I do at our gym as well, we do repeat movements, we do repeat exercises, and I love that now. It's awesome to see your progress within a week and just really learning the actual movement. So it's totally shifted my mindset. So I really, really liked this question.
Yeah, well said. And it's important to kind of defend group fitness a little bit. It's understandable why we do it in group fitness, because a lot of people think that muscle confusion is what they need. A lot of people get bored with exercises. So people pay a lot of money to do these group fitness studios, and it's really, it's almost like you have to give them a little bit of what they want and then also slide in and educate with what they need. I just think that it's a little lazy that we haven't done the best job of educating. Lazy on both parts, right? Like a lot of people that come into the gym, they just think that the harder they work out, the more sore that they get, the more that they sweat, the better the workout was. when a lot of times those people can't figure out why they're always getting injured, why they're overtraining, why they lack energy throughout the day. This is all because we have the wrong mindset when it comes to training. These exercises should not be something that we're trying to do that look the craziest. They should be skills that we're trying to master, and they should translate over into the functionality of what we do in our lives. So it might look a little boring from time to time when we're working on our strength. It might look a little boring from time to time when we're doing the same exercise week after week, but just super important to know that this is a skill that your body has to learn. And the more that you do it, the more you ingrain this movement, the stronger you're going to get. And then when you need it, when you're lifting up a couch, when you're lifting up your child to lift them up and put for them to reach something, like these are all things that are going to translate from your constant training of the same 7 fundamental movements. Cool. Okay, let's move on to the third question, the nutrition question. What do we got?
All right, question number 3. This one actually just came in from one of our Accountability Club members. She said she would love to know your thoughts on something that was posted yesterday in the nutrition thread. She's always wondering what to look for in protein bars and snacks, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so a little backstory on the Accountability Club. For those of you that don't know, what we do is we set 3 small goals. 1 goal in the lifestyle category, 1 goal in the nutrition category, and 1 goal in the physical activity category. These small goals then we build upon week after week. So this week's nutrition goal is for everybody to share a healthy snack that they enjoy that could help the rest of the club out. So someone posted this bar called IQ Bar, Brain and Body Bars. It's a non-GMO keto plant-based bar. It looks pretty good. So when you look at the nutrition label that he shared, it has 180 calories. It has 12 grams of protein, and it has 0 added sugars. And then when you look at the ingredient list, it has almonds at the top, it has fiber, plant-based protein, like all these natural ingredients at the very top, which is really nice. So the question is do I agree with the snack that was shared? And as with everything, it depends, right? What is my goal and what do I have access to? When it comes to bars and it comes to shakes and it comes to smoothies, if your goal is protein, the thing that you want to look at a few different things. You want to look at the calorie amount per protein, and you want to look at the added sugar. If your calories per serving is under 200, depending on the person, that's not bad. And you also want to look at the ratio of how much protein to calories that you get. Now, 12 grams of protein is a little low for something like this. If you have 180 calories, you'd want to see more up towards the 20 grams of protein or the 25 grams of protein. But 0 added sugar and only, what does this say? It says a net carb of 3 carbs, which is not terrible. This would be a great thing to implement into my day. For me, I would put it in maybe if I was traveling and I just wanted a bunch of bars that I didn't have to pack around a bunch of food. If I was, maybe I'm coaching that day and I don't want to pack a meal to coach mid-workout. So I coach multiple workouts in a row and I don't like to eat a lot of food mid-workout, but maybe I need just a little bit of something in my stomach. A bar would be a great option here. Would this be something that I would put into my everyday routine? Not really. I would try to get most of my protein through whole foods, if possible, through animal-based whole foods. But this particular bar, it's not that bad. It has a low added sugar amount, which is nice. I wouldn't put this into my everyday routine, though. Now, for someone that does struggle getting their protein amount up, these supplemental things could be something to help you get your foot in the door and start getting that protein amount up. So supplementing with a protein shake, supplementing with a bar, if you're someone that is getting 30, 40, 50 grams of protein like the average person and just not quite sure how to get the whole foods into your diet yet, this could be a great transitionary tool for you to use in order for you to get your foot in the door and start seeing what high protein can do for you, and then starting to substitute some of those bars and shakes out in order for you to get back to the whole food style of eating. I just have this feeling that if it was alive, if it had to endure stresses, there's something on the genetic level that happens that definitely affects how we metabolize and how we utilize the food and how it affects us as it becomes us. That's just something that I feel. I haven't done a ton of research in this field, and I haven't heard a lot of experts talk about it, except for Rob Wolf, who's hilarious. He says that if it had a face and a soul, it's something that you can eat. If it didn't, you should probably pass on it. He was more on the keto, carnivore type route of style of eating, but I do feel like there is a little bit of truth when it comes to something like that. And these bars and shakes, they're just man-made things that are a little bit processed, not natural. So they're going to have a different effect on the body than something that is. But yeah, big shout out to all the accountability clubbers out there. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys for sharing your snack ideas. Last week we shared a bunch of vegetables and all that good stuff. So shout out to you guys. Anything you have to add on the protein bar snacks or anything that they're sharing in the thread, Jamie?
Yeah, I'll just share one of my favorite go-to protein bars. It's from the company Epic Provisions. They have like meat sticks, like jerky, and then they also have these little protein bars where it's from 100% grass-fed animals. They have chicken, they have venison, they have beef, lots of different options, and those do come from something that had a soul and a face and really clean ingredients, not a lot of sugars added, so that's always a really nice go-to as well.
Beautiful. All right, that wraps up the questions for the day. And this week's recommendation is Stanford professor Kelly McGonigal. Dr. Kelly McGonigal, amazing author. She wrote a ton of helpful books on exercise, movement, mental health. My two favorite books of hers are The Joy of Movement and The Willpower Instinct. And Dr. McGonigal, she popularized the term hope molecules. And this is in reference to the chemical reaction that happens when you use your muscles and how it releases endorphins, and it gives you these hope molecules that go straight to your brain and act as anti-anxiety and antidepressants. Amazing. I highly suggest checking out Kelly McGonigal's work, and definitely the two books, The Joy of Movement and The Willpower Instinct. And lastly, we're going to leave you with a quote that we really enjoyed this week. And the quote says, "Everyone wants to live on top of the mountain, but all the happiness and growth occurs while you're climbing it." Andy Rooney, American radio and television writer, said, "Everyone wants to live on top of the mountain, but all the happiness and growth occurs while you're climbing it." We say all the time at the gym, the harder the climb, the more breathtaking the view. So if you're going through something tough, just know that on the other side of this is going to be a nice, huge, breathtaking view that you earned, that you're going to be proud of. And remember, nothing worthwhile ever comes easy, so enjoy the challenge. And that's it for today for this week's episode. I want to thank everyone for making it all the way to the end. And if you enjoyed this content and would like to support us in making more episodes like this one, it helps us a ton if you could share this episode with someone that you think could benefit from it. You could also take a screenshot and post it on one of your social media stories with one takeaway, and that'll help us understand how to make better episodes for you in the future. Another non-cost way to support us is to leave a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening to this on, if you feel like we've earned it. And if you have time to write something short, that would really help the algorithm gods show this podcast to others who may be looking for good health, fitness, and wellness information. We can't thank you all enough, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for listening and learning here with us on the Living the Dream podcast. We are so grateful for you being a part of this lifelong learning journey. If you have any topics you'd like to discuss, please let us know in the comments or by messaging me on Instagram at CoachDamien_SD. Be kind to someone today, smile at someone today, and leave every person you come into contact with better than before. Until next time, friends, keep living the dream.